You've been asleep, Cap, for almost 70 years.
The world has gotten even stranger than you already know.
At this point, I doubt anything would surprise me.
$10 says you're wrong.
Okay, Cap, you've got a lot to catch up on, so let's start from the beginning. Before 1877, the music industry was based on sheet music sales, and music was consumed at live performances. All that changed when this guy, Thomas Edison, invented the phonograph in 1877, a cylinder in which music was recorded. In 1888, this guy, Emil Berliner, invents the gramophone. Throughout the 20th century, the format of the disc will continue to change, from the 48 rotations per minute record introduced in 1906 all the way down to the vinyl 12-inch record known as the LP.
What else we've got for wireless?
Radio?
Actually, Steve, she meant wireless internet. But speaking of radio, in 1920, the KDKA in Pittsburgh becomes the first commercial radio station to broadcast on the AM dial. The record companies panicked, thinking that no one would buy music anymore if there was free music being aired, and signed contracts with their artists to prevent their songs from being played on the radio. Eventually, the radio would become the #1 way to promote a song, and some record companies would even pay to have their artists played. Radio is still going strong, but in 1964, the cassette tape becomes a popular format to listen to music in, and is made even more popular by the introduction of the Sony Walkman. Once again, the record companies worry about people creating pirate copies of music, and weathered the storm by making sure they got a percentage of the profits from each of the blank tapes sold.
Oh, and I think you left your stereo on.
Oh, right. Thank you.
The introduction of the compact disc in 1978 completely changes the industry and makes the old-fashioned vinyl records almost completely obsolete in 1982 when the CD is adopted by record companies around the world.
You must miss the good old days, huh?
Well, things aren't so bad. Food's a lot better. We used to boil everything. No polio's good. Internet, so helpful. Been reading that a lot, trying to catch up.
Marvin Gaye, 1972 Trouble Man soundtrack. Everything you missed jammed into one album.
I'll put it on the list.
With the introduction of the internet, MP3, and streaming music in the 90s, the record companies once again pushed for regulation to try and protect the sales of CDs and cassettes. Instead, in 2003, the creation of iTunes meant that consumers were now able to buy certain songs from an album rather than a whole album, which upset many record companies at the time. Now the industry is looking at internet radio with a critical eye to make sure that they're paying the royalties the records and the artists are owed. Are you noticing a pattern with these record companies, Steve?
This isn't freedom. This is fear.
Exactly! And this is why new artists like Amanda Palmer are turning away from record labels and turning to alternative ways of funding their music, like crowdsourcing, in order to earn money. None of that money goes to the record labels, and the profit belongs entirely to the artist. This is the way of the future, Steve. Now you know.